Did your parents ever experiment on you? My parents removed every form of entertainment from my life to see how long it would take me to create my own meaning from nothing. My parents were unsuccessful artists who blamed their mediocrity on being overstimulated by modern distractions. Dad had written one terrible novel 15 years ago and spent every day since complaining that television had ruined literature. Mom painted abstract garbage that looked like accidents on canvas and said movies had murdered imagination. They'd make me sit through their lectures about how entertainment was mental poison while they got drunk on wine and bitterness. I once found them burning my picture books in the backyard, Dad saying, "These are why you have no creativity," while I cried over the ashes. When I turned 9, my parents announced their grand experiment in meaning creation. They removed every book, toy, game, and art supply from my room. No TV, no music, no radio, no magazines, nothing but white walls and basic furniture. "You'll sit with yourself until you develop a rich inner world," Mom explained. True artists create from nothing. They installed cameras to ensure I wasn't cheating by daydreaming about existing stories or characters. If they caught me humming real songs or playing pretend games based on things I'd seen before, they'd make me start over. Original thoughts only, Dad demanded. The boredom was physical pain. I'd lie on my floor for hours staring at the ceiling, trying to think of something, anything that wasn't influenced by outside entertainment. But everything in my head came from somewhere else. Every story I tried to invent had elements from books I'd read. Every song I composed sounded like something I'd heard before. My parents would interrogate me daily about my progress. What new thoughts had I generated? What original meanings had I created? I'd make up philosophical nonsense about the nature of walls or the personality of dust, and they'd nod approvingly while taking notes for their research. I started going genuinely insane from understimulation. I'd pick at my skin just for something to do, count my heartbeats, memorize the wood grain on my floor. I developed elaborate rituals around nothing, touching each wall in a specific pattern, arranging my 3 pieces of clothing in different combinations. School became torture because I could see what I was missing. Other kids talked about movies, books, games, while I sat there like a hollow shell with nothing to contribute. Teachers thought I was developmentally delayed. I couldn't explain that my parents had removed my entire personality to see what would grow back. Eventually, they pulled me out anyway to homeschool me because they thought school was too stimulating. By year 2, I'd forgotten how to play. I literally couldn't remember how to have fun. My parents were thrilled. "Look how contemplative she's become," they'd tell their artist friends. "She's transcended the need for external stimulation." I was just empty. After 2 years, I tried a different approach. I told my parents I'd had a breakthrough but needed just one book to complete my artistic vision, not for entertainment, but as a tool for creation. I pitched it perfectly. How reading one piece of inferior art would help me understand what to avoid in my own pure creations. They actually considered it. For the first time in 2 years, I saw them wavering. Mom said maybe controlled exposure to bad art could be instructional. Dad suggested we start with his own novel since it was real literature. I played it cool, but inside I was screaming with joy. One book, just one book, and I'd have something, anything to feed my starving brain. They said they'd decide by Friday. I thought I'd won. Friday came, and instead of a book, they presented me with a blank journal and no pen. "We realized you were trying to manipulate us," Mom said coldly. "Asking for external input proves the experiment isn't working. You're still addicted to entertainment." So they stripped my room down further. They painted over the wood grain I'd been staring at, covered the textured walls with smooth white sheets, removed the ceiling fan that had given me something to count rotations of. Now I had literally nothing but flat white surfaces and my own thoughts. They installed brighter lights that never turned off, eliminating shadows I might find patterns in. They dressed me in white clothes that matched the walls. They wanted me to disappear into nothing until I created something. I spent the next 6 months going slowly insane from staring at unbroken white. My eyes couldn't focus on anything anymore. But then Dad's art dealer came to see their living installation and opened the door to my white room when he was looking for the bathroom. He found me nearly catatonic, unable to speak coherently after months of sensory deprivation. He left without buying anything and called child services that same day.